We continue to set sail forward here at a good clip, navigating our way through the high seas of the imagination in search of new territories in undiscovered countries. Welcome back, Artist Journal, January 15th, 2024. Broadcasting from the pirate ship of the mind, hanging out on the editor's desk, talking to Stan Lee, hanging out, having a good time. My name is Adrian Pocobelli, and welcome back. A ton to get through today. It was almost like when I took the week off going to Portugal, where I had too many tabs. That just happened over the weekend, if you can believe that. So tomorrow's show is half done. I'm actually pleased to say, and Tuesdays are very busy for me, so that's even better. All to say, let's begin. A lot of you will recognize this artist now, Katarina Create, who put out what I feel is just a nice kind of summer. It's a word that I've been using a couple of times. I used it in a space with Robness V2, a summary work, referring to his McDonald's resume. It was like a summary of everything he had done and kind of all the work he had done. But for him also as a summary, because there's his work history on there, which is actually quite hilarious. Anyways, this kind of felt like a summary work here as well for Katarina Create, where just everything kind of clicks. And of course, let me just show you Katarina Create's work. You may recall, I think I've shown this one here, and I actually brought that up. Let me just bring it up here. The horses going in the different directions here. There's something very subtle about what Katarina Create is doing here. And again, you see like the nude figure skating? Again, you know, I was calling it similar to Picasso's big blocky nudes from like the 1920s and 30s, I think on those beach scenes, if I remember correctly. There's something kind of classical, I guess, about using the nude and also in the portrayal of the body here. And there's just some, again, and, you know, doing these kind of everyday things, but these nudes, you know, building a snowman, figure skating in a snow globe, having a coffee, and here we see it on the horse, riding the horse, but there's something extra special about this one, I feel, in the sense of, you know, we're discussing embracing the irrational, and of course this, what seems like a woman, not sure, is riding this horse backwards, what seems to be a horse, right? And then there's these spots on what looks like a horse, and I think it's called looking backward rider. So it's with an interesting hourglass there as a clue with what could have come out of Dante's Inferno, which I am reading right now, these flaming flowers here. I'm in the 7th or 8th circle. There are 9 circles in the Inferno, and in the 7th or 8th circle there, it is raining fire. And so when I see these flowers that look like fire, I say quite interesting and quite beautiful. And here above is the sun and this beautifully textured work here with an interesting hat. Again, there's just a lot of irrational things that are going on here. And there are beautiful textures going on. Even, you know, you could say, like, the sun is up here, seemingly a sun. Is that a sun? Because we seem to have like a sunset or a sunrise going on here. So a lot of very subtle things going on here in this work. And so I thought, what would Stan Lee start with today? And I felt this also kind of had that Marvel Comics cover, this beautiful composition, again, kind of contrapposto, that balance in imbalance, you know, not just symmetrical, but balanced. A beautiful work here. And even this, you see the rain here, or the seeming raindrops, you know, contrasting with the fire flowers. So, you know, I'd almost go, it looks like an illustration, but it's kind of, there is a visionary component, I would argue, to this illustration here. And finally here, just in the experimentation here, as we see these white brush strokes here, but which could also be an eraser. I mean, the same color as the background here. Same with the hair. So all sorts of just interesting, in a weird way, unanswerable questions are being posed here by this artist. And so here we begin, and this great texture on the horse here. I assume a Procreate drawing, and even here with the sky, again, it would have been so easy to just leave this sky all the same color blue, wouldn't it? But no, there is a deeper purple here. So interesting work. And again, not clear if this is a horse. Where are the feet? Right? So looking backward rider, and this is in the Riders series. This is a 1 of 1 for 20 Tezos. So get it while it's hot here. And so here are other works, of course, by Katarina Create that we were just looking at. You know, these works here, I think I picked up this one. Do I own this one? No, it's Strange Thing owns this one, by the way. These are co-created, these other works here, with Katarina Create's daughter, as far as I understand. There was another one here that I picked up, and she had said, I think these ones here, maybe it's this one, Sweet Memories, collaboration with my daughter from the past. So maybe what that means, I can't remember, actually. I think Katarina actually explained it at one point, but maybe these are scanned-in drawings that are really just put over top, or I can't remember. I picked up one of these, though. I thought it was just an incredibly original drawing. And it's either scanned in and, layer multiply so that all the white disappears and then you just get a new layer. Or it's given to the daughter, if it is in fact giving it to her daughter, and then the daughter is just kind of scribbling over top. I can't remember, but all to say, have you ever seen anything like that? So, as we see this 1 of 1 just sort of dangle here, for 20 Tezos, it's just kind of interesting. I just wanted to highlight all of the interesting things that are going on in what perhaps is an overlooked work. So I thought a fun work to start with here. And of course, we looked at this the other day, another smoking rider. And again, we see what looks like a black horse and a white horse, and this very interesting composition here. And is this the tail? Right, you see the tails here? There's all sorts of irrational components here. Look at the flowers, right? So again, a work of subtlety here that is easy to miss. And even you see the red on these flowers suggests there's almost like a menacing quality, bleeding, right? I don't think we noticed that the first time. I didn't notice that the first time I looked at this work. So kind of an edge there. Same with even just the fact that the rider is smoking. A little bit of an edge there, as we see with the fire flowers in the other work. So pretty interesting. And also this spaghetti head, just another kind of series of sorts here from Katarina Create. Just super original. Even where you see the lines, these black outlines are not put on the final contour here at the top, making a really nice kind of jarring contrast here between the flashing colors of the background and the hair. As well, here you have the black outline, but here you don't, and it's actually quite a cool effect. And you see the different colors cycling through. Interesting portrayal of the nose, I would argue, original. So again, bon appetit, spaghetti head. So it looks like head of spaghetti. So just interesting, maybe just having fun. But interesting. Create for Error.exe show by Hologram Gallery. This one we also looked at. So again, kind of a classical feeling in the illustrations here, in the illustrative style that we have here. And again, kind of a surreal work. Like, where is this coming from? Kind of dreamlike, right? The white hair. So interesting work here. 2 Tezos, edition of 30. And so, yeah, Katarina Create starts us off here, starts our week, as we have a massive episode to go through here. So first off, just a quick thank you, first of all, to everybody who, retweeted this and supported this work here on exchange.art. This work from, so just a series I'm making on Solana, Gennady Surf, part of this beach series I've been working on here, and sold for 2 sol, which I was really happy about. Thank you to all the bidders. Nightman, who bid a couple of times and got the bidding started, thank you especially. And also thank you to the anonymous collector who picked up this one as well as the other one. I wanted to touch on this. Retro Manny said, congratulations. This was a phenomenal work. Would love to hear you talk a bit in depth about it on the show if you get a chance. I really feel everything about it. You know what was kind of funny about this? I didn't think anybody would like this work. But I was like, I'll probably get 1 like, but I like it, so I'm going to put it. And to me, that's just an illustration of how bad of a judge we can be of our own work as far as what the reception will be. You know, because it was actually fairly well received, right? So I didn't expect that. But I just really liked it. And so as far as the work itself, Manny, this is, you remember Yuri J talking about layering effects? You know, that's one of Yuri J's techniques. That's something I do as well sometimes. So that is where a lot of this is coming from. It's taking different effects, and then you take the affected work and then you put another effect on it, and then you start to get weird sort of things that you would never get. And another example of this is this work here. As you see here, Ascent 3, you also see here, because if you look up close, let me see if I can get closer to that. Unfortunately, because if you can see it, these little pixels here are pretty weird, right? And so that is coming from a similar technique of starting to cycle through effects, and then you put it in again, you could put it in again, right? So it's a very cool technique there. And you see even just what happens to the edges here. Let me just go back a bit. So all to say, and the colors and everything. So, and these great edges here, I dare say. So anyways, that's what's going on there, Manny. Thank you for asking, as well as here. And thank you also to the anonymous collector for picking this up. Gennady Beach, I love this piece. Again, these are just weird effects that you'd never get on your own, but you start just layering things together and you start to get all sorts of weird things happening, such as this. And then it becomes more of almost like with AI, where it's almost more of an editor's eye. It's like, oh, what's working? What looks good? Right? Where it becomes, you know, art as a decision over art as I'm going to go to drawing school for 20 years and then I'm going to have the perfect illustrative style. Right? So, you know, just interesting effects you would never get otherwise, or results. And I love the color of this piece. So I also wanted to thank Quincy Saul for getting this started. And just kind of an interesting matter just on the market. You know, this stood on the market for 18 days, nothing happened. And then I was like, well, I still like this series, so I'm going to put out more work, even if nobody is buying it anymore, I thought to myself. And so I put this out, and of course, then it ended up on Exchange Art's homepage, and then people are off, oh, what else is there? And before you know it, you have a bid on the work that you thought nobody was into, even though you were into it. So kind of a lesson in conviction that I share here, because this is a common, you know, thing that will happen to artists, where things sit, and then all of a sudden they're recognized, and then all of a sudden, or appreciated, shall we say, and then all of a sudden everything's gone. We were discussing this a couple of weeks ago. So don't despair is, I guess, the moral of the story. If you don't get that sale, is sort of the moral of the story. Let's continue on. Just a couple of comments here on that last show with that insane red from the Myth here. Happy birthday, Adrian, making fun of the spam, the YouTube spam. Thank you. Happy early birthday. Indeed. February is indeed my birthday. February 8th there. MF Doom, the late great rapper, now just Doom. So referring to the guy with what I call the Dr. Doom mask in the Myth's work there. Also, a few more comments here. Thank you, Human Boy. Great episode. Day late, buck short. Myth is great. AI collection. This was another fantastic show. So much diversity and great context. Thank you. Tez Tees. So remember remember the Gloom Tube work where there was a Dollar General bag in there that I couldn't read. Dollar General bag in the Gloom Tube piece. Great selection of pieces and commentary as usual. So great to hear from Tez. And yeah, they have a whole account there. Tezos OG working to expand awareness of the Tezos ecosystem by sharing genuine information and real insights. So it sounds like they make t-shirts too. And there's a Dollar General bag. So thanks for that context. Pop Lazarus, another great show. Love seeing the Miss Basquiat at the top in all his red glory, indeed. And Nick, and we're actually going to go to this next, Nick from Gamma, the Bitcoin. Remember Acid Boy had done a lazy mint, so to speak, and there was a platform, and I was wondering about it. Well, we heard from, I think Nick runs this platform, co-founder, Try Gamma. I think that's it. Nick here, co-founder of Gamma. Love to see your shout out of Acid Boy's work and would love to chat about Gamma and share what we've been building. So Nick sent me some links, and I also looked closer at the platform here. You can indeed lazy mint, but this is just a small piece of what we do here. So all to say, very interesting. And I'm going to bring up the website again because kind of an opportunity for a lot of people who want to mint on Bitcoin, but don't have, a lot of money to mint it themselves. You can do the lazy mint. Finally, Little Cakes. In the discussion of value in art, I'd like to add that I believe there's an ebb and flow over the course of time, depending on what society ends up valuing in the moment, which inevitably changes both in micro time and macro. Indeed, it does change over time, doesn't it? So I would agree with that, Little Cakes. Thank you for the comment. Jada, really great abstract glitch art on this one. Thank you. And thanks to the artists, really, who were showing here. We have some more from Klaus here and a whole bunch of others, actually, in some really great glitch stuff this episode. Buddha Studio, salute from Argentina, and awesome. So thank you for all the comments here. So here is Gamma. This is the platform that Nick was just discussing that I think Nick co-founded. Now, here is so you see Ordinals, prints, create. So there is a whole thing with prints, which is quite interesting. But as far as just the basics, I think this is kind of the alpha, so to speak, for artists that want to put their work on Bitcoin, but really can't afford it, right? Because it's very expensive. And so here, what's kind of amazing about this is a solution. Create on Bitcoin, as far as I understand, and I haven't tried it out myself yet, but I kind of want to. What are you looking to do? Create collection mint, sell digital prints of one artwork, which is a whole other thing where I think if you put a work on an ordinal, then they make prints on other ordinals, and then that points back to, not exactly sure how that works. I have a vague idea. Or create a single inscription, which is to mint it yourself. So you create collection mint, and how it works, you do your collection, people pay to mint and inscribe your work, right? Get 0% marketplace fees for 30 days. Our team is available to support you, and then here it is. And it's that simple. Like, it looks like no gatekeepers, as far as I understand, unless something hits you at the end here. But you put your collection name, so you can have work on Bitcoin as long as someone's willing to mint it. But it kind of removes a certain barrier, I think a lot of people have, to putting work on Bitcoin. So very interesting. Thanks for the info, Nick. And I very likely will be trying that out. So Acid Boy minted out 100 of 100 of his work here, undefined patterns. So that is cool too. And so, so heads up on that one. And also Morlakos tweeted this out, which is, and this came up with the Robness show we did, the space we did a week and a half ago, which is the rare Pepes and this whole counterparty blockchain. And I had a tough time kind of figuring out how it relates to Bitcoin. So I asked ChatGPT, actually. So here is an example of some of these works here that Morlakos was tweeting, because Morlakos disappeared at a certain point about, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And because all of a sudden Morlakos was making all of these rare Pepe works, and they're quite brilliant. There you see Albert Hoffman there, almost a la Alex Gray. Here you see Icarus, and all sorts of great stuff here. I mean, so... and different edition sizes. Looks pretty fun. doesn't it? And so just beautiful work here. Those ladders in the sky, trademark Morlacco's. Beautiful, beautiful work here. So just very quickly then on the difference between ordinals and rare Pepes. What is the difference between ordinals and rare Pepes? Just a simple question that many of you might have, as I kind of was trying to, I kind of knew they were different, but I didn't exactly understand how. It lies in their respective platforms, technologies, and cultural significance within the cryptocurrency and digital collectibles space. Ordinals are inscriptions made directly onto individual Satoshis, which are the smallest unit of Bitcoin. This is achieved without the need for smart contracts or additional layers. It utilizes the Bitcoin blockchain itself. Content, different artifacts such as images, texts. Some people have uploaded a video game, as far as I understand. Unique and transferability. Each inscription is unique and is tied to a specific Satoshi. So again, fungible and non-fungible. So you can accidentally spend the Satoshi that has an inscription on it. So you have to be careful with that. Again, it's kind of this idea of inscribing on digital gold, or inscribing on the penny. Putting a work on a penny so that if you spend that penny, you're going to lose that work, as that person was describing in a previous episode. And it is recent. Rare Pepes are a form of digital collectible that were created on the Bitcoin blockchain using the counterparty protocol. So I assume it's like a layer 2, a layer built on top of Bitcoin that allows for creation of tokens and smart contracts. Smart contracts too. These collectibles are digital cards featuring variations of the Pepe the Frog character, which has gained significant cultural and internet meme status. So they were just having issues. I'm not an expert on this, but I was just seeing the counterparty blockchain was having issues of centralization. That one of the founders, I don't know if they were wanting to shut it down or something, but there was kind of issues with centralization just in the last week or two. They're very collectible, however, considered some of the earliest examples of NFTs, even before the term became mainstream with the rise of Ethereum-based NFTs. These go back, I think, to 2014, 2015. So they do have cultural significance, special history, special place in the history of digital collectibles, and are viewed with a blend of humor, art, and crypto culture. And kind of, I think you could call it classic crypto art. So that is if you're wondering what's going on there, that is the difference. So Leonidas, who is kind of been leading the charge, I would argue, of ordinals, at least over time, has ended up in this position. One of the big bulls on ordinals here. Existing forever on Bitcoin is the alpha. And I agree. I completely agree with this. Why would you want to mint on Bitcoin? Because it's probably going to be the first, it's like the first and probably the last crypto, one would think. So that is, just an interesting statement. In a decade, everything will live on Bitcoin layer 1 or layer 2. So you might as well save yourself a lot of time and energy and join the Ordinals ecosystem now. Again, a provocative statement here from Leonidas. And it doesn't sound crazy to me, is how I would describe that statement. And here's another one. On a roll here, Leonidas. People don't seem to be aware that ordinals can do everything art blocks can do, but more natively. The future of generative art is on Bitcoin. It's so obvious it hurts, so I've never heard that. So I share it here. Again, a provocation, perhaps, from Leonidas, but I think quite interesting. So just wanted to share that. And finally, the most prestigious auction house in the world, Sotheby's, is auctioning 3 rare sats. So I think the rare sats are early Satoshis or early sats that were minted out that have taken on collectible status, amazingly. So that is pretty wild. Again, produced early in the history of the Bitcoin blockchain, so therefore having more value, as far as I understand. Or maybe associated with like the pizza transaction, that sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden it's the famous pizza. Anyways, let's continue here. We got a lot to go through. 17 Mile. The chain is insignificant. What really matters is the artwork. So again, a provocative statement, and I would say I 80% agree with this, but I think the chain actually does matter, as we were just seeing in Bitcoin. They do have their own different feelings, like vibes, as I like to say, and they also do have their own kind of, artistic use case, one could argue, and kind of their own histories. So with it does create a kind of context, whether something is minted on Tezos, Ethereum, Solana, or Bitcoin, or Avalanche, or you name it. So I thought an interesting another provocation here, which gets us thinking. I would say I'm 80% in line with it. I think, put it this way, the art comes first. But if you do mint on a dead blockchain, that is a bit of a problem, let's say, just in terms of the collectability, even potentially the provenance. Like if you did it on EOS or some dead blockchain, then it probably matters a little more. So interesting there. August Ground. The problem with investing in Tezos, the currency, is if I have any in my wallet, then I will buy art and then have none. If you know, you know. And who can't relate? Who can't relate to that? I sure can. I mean, when I'm smart, I get it out of my wallet as soon as possible, right? Because I will spend it, as I did this weekend. So I totally relate to that. Atlas Pop, your boy is flashing his ankles and wading into Solana for the first time. Fun inaugural acquisitions from these three artists here, who we recognize. Marina Amadova, Jordi Gandul, maybe, and Jordi Gandul and Bad Artist. And the reason I highlight this is for this part right here. It is quite fun, right? And I think with all of the kind of debates and, for lack of a better term, a little bit of tribalism coming out between the different blockchains, to me, this is kind of the best part about it. It is just fun. At the end of the day, it's fun introducing your work to other collectors. It's fun. Atlas Pop is collecting. And it's actually a pretty fun blockchain. It's instant. It's boom, boom, boom. It's fun to use, right? So continuing on, DJ Kiro, Genetry on exchange.art. Thanks for the bid. So DJ Kiro doing well here with 0.7 sol bid on this glitch, animated abstract work here. So that is very cool. And again, very enthusiastic, fun, cool, nice collectors over there. So very cool. Typed Art. So remember last episode, this awesome platform was announcing basically was shutting down. And then there was a bit of a response there after, I think it was Hans posted it. Sorry for the late response. The server wasn't renewed due to cost issues. We're looking for alternative solutions, such as keeping the site as an archive and making it open source. We'll update you when we find a solution. In the meantime, you can browse typed NFTs at Object. So sounds like it may not be over quite yet here. And Hans, take your time to find out what the possibilities are for the future. All is good or better than complete silence. Typed Art is a unique platform. It might deserve a second start. And I have to say, like, if it came back, I would happily, there's works I want to mint there. I want to make and mint. So I think a lot of people would be using it. And with all that in mind of like how platforms, again, it's easy to forget that these are run by humans that have to pay bills, server bills and whatnot. And 8Bidoo is used here and there right now, but not a ton as when it opened. And to me, this is just a reminder to not take these platforms for granted at the end of the day. So if you have an idea for 8Bidoo work, put it out. If typed art comes back, put out a typed artwork, I would argue, if you like those platforms and you feel that they're worthwhile. In a sense, these platforms need support too, as much as the artists, right? So just something to note. Although the NFT marketplace has recently been reduced, 8Bidoo will continue at least until 2027, making light, I think, of Patrick Amadon's tweet there that Tezos could disappear by 2027. And I think we looked at that tweet too. So all to say, it's a joke, but at the same time, it's a reminder to not take this platform for granted, I would say. Pamela Chirone on the radio, and it looks like pretty FM 99.5, I assume maybe somewhere in Argentina. Before I left the city of Cordoba, I received an invitation for an interview at Radio Agalina. This happened a while ago. I felt very comfortable, and everybody was really kind. So again, Pamela Chirone, I guess this happened a while ago. I thought this was just this weekend, but it's impressive. The art is getting out there, and Pamela Chirone really just getting the art out there. And again, the prolificness, not just in the work, but in doing interviews, just, doing different kinds of projects and everything. It's really great just to see people go 100% all out, which you see with Pamela Trone. Saiko Ihara. Here we have a very interesting, I want to highlight this third piece here. Visiting Dig Shibuya and Proof of X yesterday, the exhibition is focused on PFPs, profile picture projects. It was nice to see PFP collections such as CryptoPunks, Crypto Citizens by BRT Moments with the physical representation or presentation. So let me just show you here. So I thought this was actually an interesting way of displaying things. We look at displays here. It almost looks like the 16 by 16 pixels, like it hasn't been enlarged at all. And so an interesting display here of the CryptoPunks. So I just wanted to share that in our continued examination of different displays here. Boo Boy, Toxic Story Collection, raffle of a physical painting a day. Thanks for total 95 minted. So it looks like there are 4 of these paintings here. So cool physicals here by Boo Boy. And you can see just hanging, looks like on canvas here, maybe acrylic on canvas, if I had to guess. So nice physicals there. And this is through Nifty Gateway from Boo Boy. And here is Helio Santos, work in progress, something more abstract. So, of course, who does the paint plotting? We've been following it for a while. It's getting a little more abstract. Is that what? Something more abstract. And so interesting to see because there were, I think, mostly landscapes before, but we are seeing Helio start to experiment in slightly different areas. Almost has a bit of a Monet sort of quality to it. It's a little bit more impressionistic, this one, so just kind of interesting. And I thought this was kind of funny, perhaps in relation to our raw discussion here. So Yuri goes raw, and so interestingly, it's like all the effects are gone on this. So just interesting from Yuri here, interesting window here too. So continuing on, I thought just on the Howdy Doody front, I thought this was pretty interesting. I think why Sigma Toad is associated with is CM. I don't know if that's Chief Marketer of Object.com. Not sure what CM stands for. Howdy Circus of Imagination never disappoints. In case anyone asks, this post from start to finish is sheer fabrication. And of course, Howdy Do put out this long tweet here, which I don't want to read the whole thing. But of course was kind of temporarily banned, and then the ban was reversed. And so I think just good to go. But it was kind of just, it's funny to see. I thought it was just a funny story because basically Sigma Toad was saying, this is basically all fiction, what Howdy Do is doing. And I put that as kind of prelude to this post here. Paul, who is a ghost. I don't know how you feel about Howdy. In my opinion, Howdy is the best villain Tezos could have asked for. All these complaints over the negative vibes you feel seeing a lowball offer on your work, that's not Howdy. That's Howdy forcing you to confront your own feelings about the market conditions. And I have to say, this kind of resonated with me, this idea that he is kind of a great villain. I kind of agree. When a holder accepts one of the Do family offers, again, Howdy puts very low offers, at least he did, on artworks. They aren't doing it, and when someone accepts it, they're not doing it because your art sucks. The collector, the previous collector, is doing it because they didn't value your art to begin with, or they need any money they can recover from their collecting to survive. Howdy placed lowball offers, doesn't participate in our fun and games, and employs tactics most won't to get a financial edge in a sleepy market. But he does not devalue art. He is capitalism personified. A defense, an apology, we would say, in the traditional use of the word apology, a defense of Howdy Do. The devaluing of the art occurred when demand of people willing to pay fair prices fell below supply of sellers willing to accept low offers. You can make Howdy the poster boy of your saltiness toward reality of market conditions, but banning him from Object won't improve anything. So maybe Paul, who is a ghost, didn't get the information that he is no longer banned, as far as I understand. It removes even more liquidity from the market in order to soothe tensions and nerves. If you don't want your art to be devalued, set a higher bar for buyers to meet. It's a cheap bet to toss 5 Tezos on a piece that might flip for 50. If you think your piece is worth 50, stop selling it for 5 and complain it's not flipping the right amount. Everyone has been rushing to chase sales for so long, they stopped caring who was buying. They didn't build a connection. So, so I don't think I can go through this entire thing here. But I think we got the gist of it, though. Hate him if you want, but as far as villains we could have, we hit the jackpot. And I think he's pretty funny, too, and he is like a villain. The right way to handle it is through the art and conversations, not squeezing people out of the discussion. Howdy do, I never thought I would find myself defending you, because generally I disagree with how you behave as part of the community. And that resonates with me as well. But at the same time, you don't try to be a part of the community. You've set a clear role in our world that I have learned to navigate and even leverage in my own collecting. When in doubt, what's Howdy trying to lowball? I pray that you'll be allowed to continue doing what do's do. And one of the points that was made in here is that Howdy doesn't generally sell, or he lists for more than other holders are. He's actively sending the message that he sees value in your work when others don't. So I thought that was an interesting defense, really, of Howdy do. Just a tweet here from Uxine, which again, these gifts are great because they're illustrative of what Uxine is doing, where you see different kind of treatments here, different processes, treatments of this, figure here, this outlined figure, and you see basically the different frames that go to make up this work. So just a simple technique here of taking different, affected results, and then you turn them into a GIF, and there's your piece. There is your crypto art. So just very cool from Uxine as usual. And a beautiful piece here from Neurocolor. I hadn't seen this one before. I thought just I'm not sure if this is new or what, but I thought some really cool shapes here. And it almost looks like a processor, but with a few more diagonals in it, with, again, some dinosaur skulls on top. Very interesting piece here, and interesting flashing colors here. Not sure if that is new or not. How many? 22,000 views. So actually pretty low for Neurocolor, but beautiful piece there. Popple with a work here, 27,000 views. Of course, Popple has a huge following here. What is Popple at? 64,000. And so another monster here, which I don't think has been minted anywhere. And of course, as you see here, you can just start to break down the process here. It's like you take all these different renderings and then you cycle them through, maybe change the lighting a bit, and there's your work. And it almost seems like the light is going from right to left, but not clear on that. So just cool kind of inner mechanics from these GIFs on what is going in some of the work here. So really interesting piece from Ed Marola, New Dreams, cool title, only 0.11, so went at auction, I guess I hadn't seen this one before. This was listed December 14th and just sold for 0.11 ETH. So the buy now was 0.5, the reserve was 0.1, and then a bid was placed and won. I thought a very nice piece here by Ed Marola, which has a bit of an internet feeling. It's almost like Magicians in the Internet. Almost reminiscent, like vaguely, of Kappan's work a little bit, of all these computers and servers all wired up together here. And here you see what looks like a cell tower and a vase at the bottom with a kind of, burning bush coming out of it, and a audience at the bottom here. So really nice piece here that I missed from Ed Marola. A lot of great dithering in there. So nice sale there. Continuing on, Fornax Void. Tezos 2028, The Resurrection. So again, referring to this, what's kind of become a meme right now, that Tezos is going to die in 2027. So let's actually take a look at this super interesting artist here, with always beautiful music. And the phoenix rising from the ashes. There's a Tezos sign, 2027. A very cool artist, Fornax Void. Playing with that video game kind of aesthetic. And interesting how there's movement here in the phoenix, in the sound of a phoenix. and the static in the background for contrast. Just a really cool artist. 14 Tezos, The King is Dead, Long Live the King. Resurrection, Fornax Void. And so for collectors, there may be more at this point. This tab may have been loaded up last night. A really cool work here by Françoise Gamma from, I don't know if the 2009 series mean this is from, like if this is just off the hard drive or if these are in fact new. But you see Françoise Gamma's, traditional figure here, walking figure, but interesting floor that is kind of moving here, almost like this pentagon of sorts with a moving area. And this really cool, almost like a QR code of sorts here in the top right, but in the dimensions of a old TV. So just nice piece here, nice combination of elements. Again, kind of an irrational juxtaposition here. That is part of what art can do, I would argue, is what we're seeing right here. Because where else can you do this other than words? You can juxtapose words, but it's not as immediate, right? Like, and you see that with Paul Eluard, as we were seeing in that work the other day, referencing Paul Eluard, surrealist poetry or just poetry in general, making hard juxtapositions, right? But in image, I don't think there's anything other medium where you can just take two visual ideas, put them together, and all of a sudden the mind will just start to make associations and start to relate the two. Again, we're back to the reality principle. We start to rationalize it. Our brain starts to want to connect it and find reasoning of why these two things are related. That's why grouping, in this respect, as a design principle, is so powerful. So, again, just very interesting juxtaposition here from Françoise Gamma. Look at how beautiful this is. This is Luciana Guerra, minted 24 days ago. This fantastic work here. And this looks, I don't know if this is, let's see what the information is here. Not sure if this is physical or digital, but either way, it's beautiful. Maybe it's a combination of the two. It kind of looks like a physical, but I'm not sure on that one. I thought just a beautiful portrait here in black and white of this couple here. And this one, the woman nude, the guy looking clothed, and just an interesting piece. This, again, it's kind of random, brushwork in the bottom, or working with randomness, I should say, and even just these nice black shapes here, just kind of grounding the whole composition. The guy looking over, the woman looking away. Symbiosis 3, nice piece. And here's another one by Luciana Guerra. GM friends, have a magnificent Friday. And quoting Borges, while we are asleep in this world, we are awake in another one. And here, so just another cool piece here. Let's just open it and see it up close. Again, looks like a physical, doesn't it? And of course, Luciana makes a lot of physical work here. So beautiful black and white work from Luciana Guerra. And we see these big kind of white brush strokes here making shapes over top, another layer, just very cool. Rat Cloak with a new one. I believe I picked one up here, one owned. I think I got the last one, Railroad in Rural Areas. So a pretty nice piece here from Rat Cloak, as you can see. And I wish I had the, there was a work in progress that was posted online by Rat Cloak here, and you see how the railroad was done first, and then the figure was kind of penciled in, and then the figure was done after. And these awesome, drips came in after. So just a beautiful work here. As usual, a very painterly work by Rat Cloak out in Ukraine there. And interesting, kind of playing with these stretched out figures a little bit, hey? You see the head is kind of compressed a little bit as if the transform tool has been applied to it. And this kind of moribund, pale young person here with the guitar at the back, a beer in the hand, again, looks kind of semi-transformed. Edgy work here. Maybe girlfriend on the guitar and, travel gear, modern travel gear, and the dog coming along. Look at those boots, You could look at so many different details in this work, so just another powerful work here. Now on secondary for 47, sold out on primary edition of 10 only for 15. Or sorry, 25. Find Your Wonder. This is Amelia Fantasia, whose work we looked at, I think, at Christmas. So a new work here, a new painting, and I assume this is done on Procreate, but I am not actually positive on that. And of course, using the same sort of process and technique we were noticing on the other work, where you can be when you have a great process, you can be pretty rough in the details here or loose, and it all works out anyway because your process is solid. It's always a sign of, in my view, a good artist is when you have a great process here. And that is what we see here. So interesting subject here. Looks like food, almost kind of surreal though, isn't it? Like they look like vases. This almost looks like an espresso maker, like half of one with some fruit inside. Let's see, Find Your Wonder. In the bent night of melancholy, find a wonder to fight for. So nice and enigmatic there from Amelia Fantasia. And this is an edition of 8, only a Tezos 50. So nice piece there. I believe a Procreate work, I believe. La Siesta, this is by Quilanina. Kids playing outdoors during nap time. And of course, it's always tempting to put Quilanina in the visionary artist category, again, out of, I believe, Chile, or is it Peru and Argentina? And always, this looks like a Procreate work and also makes a lot of acrylic and oil paintings, I believe. And there's always a lot of, symbolism and just interesting painting. You see the super fuzzy smoke coming out of the chimney here, the bedroom inside, and then the kids playing here. And again, this awesome magnification tool. Interesting contrast, too, of kind of fuzzy arms with the background here and the plants. Just really interesting treatment. The rosy cheeks, the sun on the shirt, the cloud, right? It almost feels like a tarot card. Here's probably the moon at night. So seemingly symbolic, right? Of maybe the sun, the clouds, maybe the moon, right? So, and again, almost like the three graces type thing. Like there's the three's pretty powerful and interesting title, La Siesta. And there is the bed there. Almost kind of dreamlike, the green sun, right? So interesting piece, even the leaves coming off the side there. So this has been burned. So there may be a new one. Let me just see here very quickly. There is, edition of 12, and you see here wild colors here in a lot of Quilanina's work. I remember starting with this one episode. This is oil and acrylic and sequins on canvas here from Quilanina. Let's see if it loads. Here it is, just a spectacular painting here. Yeah, so we started this maybe, I'm guessing, how long ago was this? October. So yeah, about 4 or 5 months ago now. Continuing on, The War of the Tezos, and this is a work by Wasteman Goldminovich, which really just captured me. It was a simple work in the terms of just the straight up blue sky, straight up grass, and shadow, but really beautifully done. I think it was 2 Tezos, and here you see what looks like a Tezos soldier with maybe a tattoo on the arm, the Tezos drum, the balaclava, and a cigarette, and something burning over here. And there you almost see like a Skeletor, a Pepe, and another guy in a balaclava, and a house on fire. So interesting piece here. This sold out pretty quickly, I think. Now it's 12 on secondary, District 468. So yeah, let's just see here. Yeah, all selling out the first day. It's one of those pieces you see and you just kind of want to own. I picked one up too. This is Dan Control. It almost looks exactly like the ad, Good Morning. So interesting piece here from Dan Control, another gradient work, of course, by Dan. And I thought a really just cool work. I mean, it almost looks like the actual ad, as I was saying here, but done with gradients in probably Photoshop here. So cool work of an iPhone there. New work from Santiago on Superware. Found this just in the Foundation feed, which I've started to use here. So hopefully I'll catch a few more works that are posted on Superware and on Foundation. A beautiful piece here from Santiago. Again, a new one, again, posted on Superware. And I'm not sure, we'd have to go to Super Rare to check if there's a reserve on that. Almost 20,000 pixels, 19,000 by 11,000 pixels here. So pretty amazing work there. Jake Studios, what's happening? Here we see upside down clouds, an upside down McDonald's sign, and some figures here. Again, kind of a surreal illustrator here in the sense that it never always makes sense. And we see here, this looks like it says maybe meme. It's on fire. I don't know if this is this War of the Tezos thing, because it looks quite similar, doesn't it, to the Wasteman Goldmanovich work that we just saw. What's happening kind of feels like related to that work. So I'm not sure if that was a thing that was happening on Tezos. And these really interesting figures here, kind of glitched out illustration with even some pixelation put in the screens here. Just interesting piece, nice texture too on the grass and sky. Digitally drawn animation. This is a 1 of 1 for 250 Tezos. Listed for a Tezos for just a few minutes there. Interestingly, this is a gorgeous piece here by Greco Rando. This is edition of 10, now on secondary for 12 Tezos, selling out on primary for 3 Tezos. I thought an awesome still life here with modern McDonald's Big Mac packaging, the drink and some Cokes and a banana and a Sony PlayStation. Beautifully done. Love the negative space of the background here, the white. And you see there's a bit of color in the McDonald's packaging here, just enough where you can barely tell there's a difference there. Just really, really nice piece here. English breakfast, hilarious. Here's another piece by Greco, Northern Cocktail, 4,500 by 4,500. This is 50 Tezos, edition of 1, and still available here. And let's just take a look here, because I thought I saw a bug. So this magnified tool, and look at how rough it is. Again, when you have your process, you can kind of be almost as loose as you want, and things will work, and leaving almost looks like the an underdrawing there. And just creates the kind of busyness and the just kind of randomness, just adds interest to the whole work, doesn't it? And here it looks like the gray is removed, but here you see. So there's something to be said. One trick that you can do if you're trying to make your work more interesting as an artist, and again, you have that same thing that he did with the McDonald's packaging, which is just a slightly different color than the background in the martini here. So you see just an nice touch is what I say. So an interesting game you can play if you're trying to make your work more interesting is delete the erase tool, or just don't use the erase tool and force yourself where if you make a mistake, you either leave it in or you have to use another color to, maybe it's white or whatever, to get rid of it. And then you just start to get the work. It's again back to this idea, this modern idea, that some modern art, like in a Picasso, often you'll see the trail is left behind as to how the work was constructed, which is part of the appreciation that comes in, say, some works. You'll see it often in Picasso. You'll get the sense of this, you can kind of see how the work was made, and leaving that trail, that path, again, creates a kind of aesthetic experience and adds to the aesthetic. And I'd argue you see that there in the pencil work that's left behind there. I think that was called Northern Cocktail. Northern Cocktail, interesting piece there with a little fly on the olives here. Okay, running along here, always watching. So this is Louis Osborne, and a figure who is surrounded by surveillance cameras. And here is another one. I need your help with which color scheme to use. So this is a classic issue that digital artists have, because they can do this. It's not like a physical artwork where you kind of get one shot where you have to redraw everything. I would say all of the above is basically, if you made 4 that you like, and I think they all have their thing. I wonder if someone said that. So option 2 and option 4 were the winners. So here's option 2, the red one, and here's option 4. So interesting, isn't it? It looks like option 1 was the one that Lewis posted before. I wonder if anybody, and here's a variation, right? So Just an interesting, I wonder if anybody said all of the above. But I guess that's not the answer that Louis Osborne was looking for. He wanted a choice. So all to say, just an interesting question. Louis Osborne, of course, has done this before, where you mint like 3 or 4 different versions of the same piece with different colors, and has successfully sold and done well with them. So it's an interesting question and discussion. Best Friends Forever. So we're watching the work in progress here. There is some music on it. It's also a work by Louis Osborne here. This sad, sad, melancholy work. Seemingly, the people on the swings, now in the ground, happy. So, powerful work there. That was only the first half. Like, who knows where that goes? Music by John Hugo. And so, not sure what the 0 editions. This one may have been burned. We can look very quickly to see if there's another. So, 0 editions. So, not sure what's going on with that one. Interestingly. So, maybe that one was burned or removed. Not sure why it says 0. Ilio Givel, Red Floor Summer. So, seemingly a reference to David Hockney's Splash a little bit here, but with completely different colors. And you see a swimming board here, and diving board, I should say, and then the splash here, and really kind of louder colors, we might say, with a nice gradient. Really original illustration here. As you can see in the tree, perhaps illustrating wind, and then you see the sea in the background there. Interesting piece. Red Floor Summer, reserve of 0.15 on Super Rare. So just minted January 8th. And here is Berku or Byram, Best Wishes. So this came out on New Year's. This is an edition of 65, now 28 Tezos on secondary. And I thought a pretty fun work here. As you see, almost what looks like a string of pearls moving through this piece here. And all the celebration of the new year here coming through on this piece with the beautiful shapes and abstract in the background with some basic primary colors here. Red, yellow, green, blue, white, and a bit of beige there. Best Wishes for 2024 from Berku or Byram. Nice piece. This was a super cool piece here too. Rustic digital art with a play on what looks like old video games here. Not exactly sure which one. I mean, we see Mario here, but I don't think the motorbike person is from Mario. This looks like it's from Mario. Then you see Cigarette, Lucky Strike. You see the interesting selection with the inner, the magic wand type selection with the inside not selected, but the 3 here, kind of bleeding into the numbers here, keeping all that, and then press start at the bottom, but press start here. And you know what this looks like? I just realized it now with the Lucky Strike and this, what looks like a warning here. Smoking causes cancer, so it looks like a cigarette pack, interestingly. So this is an edition of 1, and this sold to Art Gnome for 22 Tezos. So nice sale there from Rustic Digital Art. Very cool piece. Here's another one, Magic Desktop. This is an edition of 7 for 3 Tezos each. And here we see that same kind of motorcycle figure being combined and the same selection, right? Where you select, just do the magic wand, and then it doesn't select the inside because it's cut off, and then working with that. So interesting work there. And again, some Mario, some older Space Invader vibes, and what looks like a Windows desktop, and then a big heart. So, of course, Rustic, as we've mentioned before, if you've never heard, often works with just purely irrational elements here. And just, again, we're kind of back to that embracing irrationality idea. That's something that Rustic Digital Art has been doing for at least more than a year, ever since I've seen his work. Here's mech.txt posting another one of these DOS works with what looks like a new tile here. This part here with what looks like a tree, and you see some fires also looking like a new tile here. So it looks like this town or these structures are on fire, so just beautifully done as ever with this, straight up blue sky, flat blue sky, and this nice framing device here, and then even more around. A really nice piece here. Continuing on, the Venus Project, Intelligent Water. So this is Lubitel Blizny and the Gift Gallery, referencing Jacques Fresco, founder of the Venus Project. And it says here, who lived for more than 100 years, but never invented anything sensible. So I think it was the movie Zeitgeist, if I remember right, where it was kind of like this big thing. It was kind of like I don't know, how would you describe that movie? It was kind of like, I want to say, let's call it an independent film on the financial system. And where at the end, the solution to everything was the Venus Project. So here, a bit of a criticism, it seems, of the Venus Project, just kind of celebrating it, dedicated to the founder of the Venus Project, but who didn't create anything sensible. So maybe not the most practical person, according to Lubitel Blizny. So interesting commentary there, and interesting subject matter. This was burned, so maybe there's another edition out there, but interesting piece. Here, of course, is Hasdrubal Waffle, and there's an offer that has been made here by Heck, and this is a single, and when was this listed here? January 13th, so new work from Hasdrubal Waffle here. And this is on Foundation, so releasing a 1-of-1 on Foundation here. Interesting static pixels, really big pixels here, static pixels and moving ones and dynamic at the same time. Here, kind of a risque work here, these 3 figures, food co-op, another single here, and this offer made by Ahek for 0.1 ETH, so nice sale there. That is $240. So nice sale there for Hasdrubal Waffle here, food co-op. Another single minted 2 days ago on Foundation. So nice piece there. Sabato, Sapo Frage. So Sabato, I think, has been releasing some Deluxe Paint 4 works that haven't been minted yet. So here is a frog that is on what looks like a lily pad here, and a little pond, almost going back to the very earliest drawing exercises in some respects, drawing the pond, and some grass and a bit of noise in the background there. So interesting piece. Cap'n, I managed to get the last of these. Departure. Cool work here by Cap'n, just super minimal. I found this on Saturday morning in Berlin time, and I thought, what a perfect Saturday morning piece here with this little figure. Let me see. Unfortunately, I guess you can't zoom in on the GIFs, but really cool writing here. January 10th, 2354, Captain's Log, or 2354, Captain Hayes, Stardate 2354, and then it has this great text here. Departure summary, briefing, final checks, really adds to this really interesting pixel artwork by Cap'n. For yourself, from yourself. You know what was interesting about this one? This was posted on X. Again, talking about Stan Lee, who does this remind you of as a comic artist? I'll tell you who it just screams of to me is Jack Kirby. This is a classic Jack Kirby panel here. Just like big heads and kind of like, both together. This is like a classic Kirby panel. So anyways, could be random, or maybe there is an influence. A nice piece by Cap'n. Here, as you see, black and white. Here it's moving. Just a really great artist there. For yourself, from yourself. Here is, who do we have here? Nicholas Dietrich, of course. Every decision you make creates a new universe. And another interesting, very dithered work, a little looser here in the treatment of these flowers on this tree. And just a really nice piece here. And we'll see what it says. There's a car, and again, just lots of dithering. Every decision you make creates a universe, a clearing in the woods, so kind of enigmatic here. And this was minted when? Maybe a day ago, 2 days ago, January 13th. So I don't think we saw this one yet. Pretty sure that's new. This was a super interesting work, a smaller work here. And this, you can see that object maybe it's a little tricky, or maybe this is interactive, not sure. Sophie Ogura. Sophie Ogura, this is an edition of 13. Kind of an edgier, wish I could make it bigger, I can. An edgier work where you can see the pixelation and everything, and you see kind of like a figure being transformed from large to small with this figure here. Just kind of an edgy work here. Edgy pixel art, as I like to call it. Inwoods.html. 380 on primary. There's Curio Fringe, picked one up. That's always a good sign. And Guru, Hyena, Can Accepta, and more. So edition of 13, still available on Primary. There are 3 left. So selling well there, too. This is pretty rad by Spiegel's Maskinen. Feeling arty. So you see almost a Photoshop type of toolbox by Spiegel's. I mean, nice production. And there's the spray paint 3D. I would have no idea of how to go about making something like this. This is pretty cool. And look, there's Spiegel's Maskinen. So into the garbage he goes. So brilliant work as usual. Here's Guru Hyena. And I'm not sure what that says. 3 Winds Grind Shop. Not sure. Just kind of an interesting piece here. Experimental piece from Guru Hyena. Kind of looking like dragging brushes or sampled brushes created with my DDD app still in development. So this is an edition of 1 and not listed yet. Here is someone called Braun, embroidery number 02, and an interesting GIF here. Kind of like a pixelated, kind of reminiscent a little bit, just a little bit of Santiago, but not entirely. Could hang in the same show. Let's say that, and here you see just a little bit of analog kind of video glitchery, seemingly, or at least movement here in contrast with the still pixels, always making a nice contrast. Here's Datura with a nice kind of edgy work here, and always just barely representational here. Maybe a landscape with a boat in it, perhaps. Interesting piece there. And here is Sean Luke. This is from January 12th, Astral Argo. So interesting piece here with kind of a diamond shape that is moving around. And here, just kind of an interesting abstract here by Sean Luke. So interesting piece. Dimension Bridger, and not listed as far as I know. Continuing on, Glitchtown Arcade. Really nice pieces coming out here. No bananas, no party. And so maybe looking like a King Kong work or something along those lines here. Glitched out, Nintendo Glitch ROM. Very nice piece there. That is 99 cents, edition of 30. And there are 30 left of this really nice piece. Here's another one. Edition of 30, Nothing More Nonsense Than War. Another interesting glitch work piece by Glitchtown Arcade, 99 Tezos cents. Nice work. Juana Pedro. And here, let's just do that. Really nice piece here. This is pretty interesting. Found on Instagram. Never seen this artist before. Interesting take on what looks like some Nintendo glitch ROM or a video game as a backdrop. Here is Kyle Flemmer with an interesting glitch here too, with what looks like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, of course. Dorothy Unbothered. So I guess there's a video game. So interesting glitch here. And what I also loved about this, edition of 15 for $3.50, I love these other works here, these stills, made one of ones, I think quite brilliantly. Again, we're looking at that with Louis Osborne. This has been an ongoing kind of discussion, which is you have the GIF, right, with a whole bunch of frames in it, but in a sense, each frame is a different work. So interestingly here, Kyle Flemmer takes his 3 favorite frames, I assume, turns them into one of ones, and you get fantastic work like this. With this great green background. What happened here? Sold to Cap'n, or transferred to Cap'n. So beautiful piece there. Here's another one, Islay, transferred to Islay, so maybe just giving them out for free. But really nice pieces here. And here's another one where Dorothy is doubled, and this was sent to Hakuna Matata. But I tell you, when I was seeing these come out, being minted, I was waiting for them to be listed. I was like refreshing. I was like, is this one of one going to be available? Interestingly, just from my own perspective. And the reason I say interestingly is because I wasn't fazed by the fact that there was a GIF, that was already minted before. I knew that, but I still kind of wanted that one of one still. Isn't that and I find that interesting. Like, I wasn't fazed by that. I want that green one, for example. Interesting, right? XPQZL, an artist I'd never seen before. This is on Taya with this kind of lo-fi, or not so lo-fi. Look at this. That almost looks like Tezos pole. But maybe just something sci-fi. So, pretty interesting work over there. There's so many artists. Look at this too. All this noise. Collect for 25 Tezos editions. I think 19 left. So maybe selling. Let's just stop that. History selling for 25 Tezos. So pretty good. That's a fair amount of money, especially with Tezos at like $1.17 or something. Last I checked. Really cool work here by Violet Tripp, if I'm pronouncing that right. Blood Moon Glitch Rider. Cool piece here. Let me see if there's volume. There is. Cool music. Hanging out in this window in the sky. Almost like a theater. Really interesting piece here. And the glitch, going diagonal there. Blood Moon Glitch Rider by Violet Tripp. Very cool. Sold for 0.2 ETH. And that is on sealed.art, interestingly. Lydia Moon's GM Aliens, so another cool work here. I don't think any volume here. So Lydia Moons with another just interesting kind of, you almost have like this elf figure here with this weird sort of like, kind of shininess or reflection or kind of chrome effect in the surrounding area, and all kind of glitched out as you can see it just kind of shift a little bit here and there. GM Aliens, cool work. Continuing on, Nicholas Sassoon. New RGB study, GIF compression has been rough. So this is a GIF compression of what Nicholas Sassoon is working on, but interesting piece here. Kind of looks like the moon a little bit, or I guess just an abstract sphere. Continuing on, here is Santiago Ruao, free mint on Zora, welfare. So interesting abstract work here from Santiago, keeping it interesting over there. Ranixtier, Endless number 5. So there's a new series here by Ranixtier. These very cool, kind of minimal abstract gradient works. And this is a new series on Foundation called Endless, and minted for 0.028. So making another series here after the success of the MCHX series. So you can see these mints here that are coming out. So it looks like about 8 mints so far, so that's pretty good. So cool work there. And let's continue on Acid Boy with another interesting piece. Look at this, just kind of minted. Could be an old work, could be new. Just really nice animated abstract from Acid Boy. And here is another one, GM Fam. And this looks like another experiment where you see, so it looks like experimenting with the programming here. Maybe this will be minted on Bitcoin too. Just amazing. Acid Boy, always kind of mind-blowing there. Just really amazing. Beautiful indeed. Here is Lucas Lejeune, encrypted stack, as we zoom to the end here. Let's see if this works. Here we go. So Lucas Lejeune, and you really do get the sense of encryption here in these different shapes. So really nice piece here. From Lucas Lejeune, a GIF, encrypted stack, great title too. Denirus with a cool kind of glitched out analog video glitch with some interesting background here. Inside our digital realm, imagination won't perish. Just a mysterious work here. It looks great. Trial, experimentation visual, so very cool. 39 Tezos on secondary, sold out on primary. Here's another one by Denirus, also called Trial, I think. And here, just more kind of analog video glitchery. Looks like a face going through some lily pads here in the water. Interesting piece. And Shin Imamiya, this is by Renki. Kind of a different piece here from Renki, isn't it? So pretty cool. So keeping it interesting over here. Very prolific Renki. 80 Tezos, I assume that's a 1 of 1. This is Inavare on exchange.art on Solana. Sold for 5 Sol. Nice work. Sold for 5 Sol. Purchased by Tolo. $496. Great work. So again, you can see why artists are excited about Sol and exchange.art. Very nice. Artists getting rewarded there. Composition 68. So some more work by Klaus. Very nice piece here. More just beautiful 1 of 1s with gorgeous, gorgeous colors here. This sold for 21 Tezos to Amelia Versace. Nice pickup there. Here's another one, just gorgeous. Composition 65. This also by Klaus and sold to Conehead Squid for 21 Tezos. And let's just make that big. So more beautiful work here from Klaus. I think we have another one, Composition 69. Also selling to Sol Crypto Forager for 21 Tezos. So more interesting experimentation. And here is Mika Oladev. Got something extra special next week with Chris WVR, Chris War. More interesting glitch work from Mika Oladev and friends, Chris War. This was put out by Ellie Lowe, which I thought was kind of funny. Fight for the Tezos. So again, we saw Wasteman Goldminovich with a work in Fight for Tezos. So I'm not sure if there was something going on, like some sort of theme that everybody was doing. So here you see the knuckle, what do you call it? The brass knuckles here fighting for Tezos from Ellie Lowe. GLB, cool work there. And here, of course, is Skamra with some new computer work, keeping it edgily kind of fuzzy here with this interesting kind of almost pixelated background, but not quite, because the pixels don't all line up. Just a beautiful work here, simple and kind of interesting texture and just kind of softness there. And here's another one. Look at this outline on the woman at the keyboard here, or at the laptop, and this awesome background. This beautiful, AI gradient background, I assume. And great texture in the sweater there, too. Here, of course, is No Hygiene, free mint on Zora, with another edgy work. Kind of looks like someone climbing up an electrical pole. So interesting, or a power pole. So interesting work here from No Hygiene, and I think we have another one. Look at this. This is on New Eye, free mint on Zora, so putting out a ton of work. Interesting AI kind of pixel art style work, I assume AI. With different textures in here, almost looking like, layered effects, but probably just all AI, I would assume. And here, of course, is Martin Joe with a beautiful piece, minted or put on Twitter, with some bagels there, and this person eating here, having tea, this dog, with all the bears around, enjoying the tea, and some bears in the background. So beautiful AI work here from Martin Joe. Here's Little Cakes with a Japanese title here. Let's see if it plays. And no volume on this one. So another kind of edgy, unsettling work from Little Cakes here. Very photorealistic, I might add. But as you can see here, AI video. Video experiments with previously unused throwaway doll images. So very cool there. And here's I believe a collaboration. Karasu no Komo Ryuta. This is Little Cakes and someone with a vase for a profile. Kind of dreamlike. So that goes for a minute 38. Nice piece here too. So Sound by Dead FKA retired using field recordings taken in Kanazawa, Japan in 2022 by Little Cakes. And continuing on, here is, of course, Strange Thing, with some pretty edgy works here, some square sunglasses and interesting, almost What would you call that? I can't remember what this would be called, but where you might wear it in the desert to keep you cool. Strange thing written on the sunglasses hilariously. And of course, all of the, an interesting way of making Christian art and imagery kind of cool by pixelating out the eyes on Jesus. Interesting piece where you could almost see this kind of work actually being kind of cool, like gangster sort of clothing, one could argue. Like you could actually see this happening, especially when you pixelate the eyes like that. Couldn't you just see that? So really interesting work here, fashion concepts, and nice execution too, with these probably AI models from Strange Thing, total master of AI here. Look at that umbrella, that outrageous umbrella. White Solitude, blood drops as we near the end here. So just some really nice brush strokes and mark making, almost looking like Japanese samurai type work here. Blood drops, lightness of being. This is a edition of 7 for 7 Tezos. Are there any left here? There are 2 left on primary. Continuing on, of course, Tukes with a really interesting piece. Put on X. Very nice AI work of flowers here. Nice piece. And here is another one minted on Solana, sold for 1 sol. So another work here on exchange.art. So artists continuing to sell here on Solana. Let's see if that loads up here. And there it is. It shows. So beautiful piece here for 1 sol from Tukes on Solana. AI artwork, and into the physical work we go. Zesis Bliatkes, everyday 1.5 by 1.7 meters acrylic on canvas. Interesting piece here. I continue to be amazed, actually, at all the good, exciting physical art that is coming out. It felt like there was about 15 years where it was kind of hard to see something that, at least that I was like super excited about. Now I feel like I'm seeing it all the time. This is pretty interesting too. Let me see who this is. Aman Jahangir, The Breakup. I think I died that night. And so taking, a phone screenshot and then maybe printing it out and painting over top of it. And here it looks like a Cupid arrow in a child. I mean, just kind of a sad work there. Medjart. Interesting piece here. Interesting way of painting pixelation here. Close-ups from my first week in studio at Mint Art House. Very interesting way of, the technical side of doing pixelation. Just get a square brush and get it the right size. Maybe make the squares the size of the brush is what you do. Right? Because here it's just perfect. You just do 1 stroke and you're good. Because kind of not as easy as it sounds to do pixelation. Like once you have your solution, it works, but it can be tricky. Demon Ego with a nice, what looks like a physical here. So added it here with the physicals. Glitch, more glitch. Interesting piece here. Totally recognizable as Demon Egos. Maybe printed at the bottom and drawn over top. Perhaps a little bit of collage maybe. Jordan Ferguson. Interesting depiction of flowers, a bouquet of flowers here. So nice piece here, a study from summer, 16 by 20, acrylic on canvas. I think we've seen one of their works before, and we've seen this work artist before, Adam Lister Studio in Bangkok, Thailand. And as you can see here, Han Solo and Princess Leia kissing there in this really cool kind of rectangular square style, modular style, and of course Bondozo Bandido, with more super interesting kind of enigmatic work here, again playing with the airbrush seemingly and acrylic paint in the background. Not a huge work here, but making a ton of work, and then interesting coloring too, just going with the nose and kind of finishing it. Like it kind of finishes the piece, so great instincts here. Here's Machine with another face on a car. And here you see, again, what looks like kind of like airbrush being used here in the teeth and everything in the tires. So interesting piece there. And Walk with a piece, spray paint piece, probably spray can. Again, just total master as you look at the eyes here. And just really nice piece, I think. And here's the other one, just letters put on the other side, and almost like the is you wonder if the two works are related. You could actually have like a diptych of sorts with these two works. Interesting. And here's another one on Zora from Walk, Expanded Mind, Free Bent. So really cool piece here as well. Nice composition, super original just across the board here. It looks like a human head repeated on our Zora. And that is your show, my friends. Thank you for joining me again as we open up the week here. Until next time, take care.